Thank you. Very happy to be here.
Yes. How are you, sir?
Things are going well. This is the end of a 5-city, 9-day tour of South India by our delegation of 18 U.S. universities. So
Okay, sir.
it's been an amazing chance to see all of the potential and partnership here across South India.
Routine.
Yeah, becomes a routine. Right at the end, it starts to feel routine, and then it ends. But it's been great. We started in Bengaluru a couple days ago, and then went on to Kochi. The delegation has also been to Mangaluru and Manipal, and happy to wind up here in Tamil Nadu,
Okay, sir.
in Coimbatore, which I visited before
Okay.
in October, and it's an amazing city.
Slowly, thank you.
Well, I think Indian students are among the best in the world, and U.S. colleges and universities are among the best in the world, and so it makes sense that the two would find one another, and that the relationship would be growing the way that it has over the last year. U.S. colleges and universities are known for their quality, for their diversity, for their impact. There are more than 4,000 accredited U.S. colleges and universities, so whether you're looking for a small liberal arts college, a big state school, a technical institute, whether you want to study engineering, humanities, liberal arts, there's a school there for you. There's a college there for you. And I think Indian students across India, and particularly here in South India, have taken advantage of those opportunities to study at the undergraduate level, at the graduate level, and not only advance their careers and improve their futures, but really strengthen the bonds between our two countries. If you look at the numbers, as you mentioned in your question, this year there's been a 35% increase year on year on Indian students. The increase at the graduate level is about 66%. We have 166,000 Indians studying in the U.S. at the graduate level, which is more than any other country in the world. And the delegation of U.S. universities that are here with us in Coimbatore today are looking to recruit and attract more graduate students, outstanding graduate students from Tamil Nadu to strengthen those connections.
It's nice, sir.
Well, I think you see in the U.S.-India relationship an evolution of the relationship in a way that benefits not just our two countries, but the region and the world. The U.S. and India obviously are working together politically in a number of different frameworks, working to strengthen our economic ties, our business ties, our education ties, as evidenced by the number of Indian students in the United States, but also looking at ways that we can cooperate on solutions that benefit the region and the globe. There was an initiative agreed by President Biden and Prime Minister Modi in 2022 called the Initiative on Critical and Emerging Technologies. This initiative focuses on advances in next generation fields like artificial intelligence, commercial space, quantum computing, green hydrogen, and other areas that are the future of our relationship, the future of our economy, and the future of the world. And so the innovations that come out of our collaboration in these fields will create jobs, they'll drive growth, they'll strengthen partnerships, and they'll help us to solve problems like climate change and other things that are relevant not just for our two countries, but for the world. I think you also see the impact of our cooperation through the Quad, where together with Australia and Japan, we're working to foster a secure and open Indo-Pacific region that allows goods to flow freely, that allows prosperity to take root throughout the region, and is a reflection of the fact that the U.S.-India relationship is not just a convergence of our interests, but it's also a convergence of our values. As the world's largest democracy here in India and the world's oldest democracy in the United States, this is a chance for us to help build a rules-based order globally that benefits every country in the world.
That's nice, sir.
Well, first of all, I'd like to say that we've seen these tragedies in the press here, and as a father, as a human being, my heart goes out to those who have been affected by this. And we send our condolences to anyone who has lost someone, a member of their family. The United States remains a warm and welcoming place for students from every country in the world, including India. The U.S. Colleges and universities are committed to providing a safe and secure environment for international students and Indian students to pursue their study, and that will continue. And this is something that we certainly track very closely, follow very closely, and grieve with those who have experienced loss. I think that colleges and universities will continue to take measures to be vigilant and ensure that the students on their campuses and in their communities are safe. That is an ongoing effort. That's something that all of us will continue to watch very closely and continue to ensure that we have a safe and welcoming environment for friends from overseas. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a great example of where the relationship is going. I mean, first of all, space cooperation is really cool. And and everybody can get excited by it. I mean, when you see Chandrayaan,
New thing.
it's amazing, right? I mean, and it makes everyone feel like a kid. No matter how old you are, you kind of feel like you're 10 again when you see Chandrayaan go up to, you know, the south pole of the moon, or you look at Gaganyaan, you know, hopefully coming up.
Indians and Americans too, so much happy to achieve that achievements.
Yeah, yeah, and I think it shows that, you know, space is a place for us to demonstrate partnership, for everyone to enjoy the benefits and the romance and the magic of these sorts of explorations. I mean, when you move into outer space, at some level, you know, you're no longer Indian or American, or I mean, you're a resident of Earth, kind of like, you know, penetrating out into outer space. So that's really exciting, and I think we're looking forward to the NISAR launch as an example of the partnership and cooperation between the U.S. and India. Lots more happening on that front, including other satellite projects, training, exchanges. The field for cooperation in space is limitless between the U.S. and India. And I want to make one more point, that, you know, when I was growing up in the 70s and 80s and you would watch NASA launches, space shuttles and other things, that was driven largely at the government level, right? That was a government project. That was something that NASA was doing. And I think something that NASA has developed, and something that ISRO is also doing, is to realize that effective space cooperation, particularly now, requires everyone to participate. That means universities for research, private sector and business, startups, partners that can innovate new approaches, new techniques, new equipment. And you see that in the NASA model too, in the way that NASA works with a number of private sector partners and businesses and other organizations to ensure that we can take full advantage of the opportunities that space offers us. And this is a real hallmark and feature of the U.S.-India space relationship as well. It's not just about governments, it's about every member of both nations coming together to contribute and see what we can do.
So happy.
So I've been traveling around the world in this career for about 24 years now. Been to a lot of different places. And between those tours, I go back to the U.S., I talk to family, I talk to friends. I see Americans come out to countries where I'm stationed. And what I see again and again and again is a deep curiosity among Americans in terms of other cultures, other people, other languages, other food. Like, what is a masala dosa? How is that different from this? And I want to try in Italy, and I want to do all these different things, right? So Americans are, they're warm, they're welcoming, they're curious, they're interested in other people, and they're also excited about telling their own story, talking about their own family, where they came from, the experiences they've had. So as Indians go to the U.S., as Americans come here, I think there's an environment of mutual respect and warmth and curiosity. And at any point, what I've learned in my own life is, if you don't know something or you're not sure, just ask a question. And people will be more than happy to tell you their perspective, give you their opinion. And that's certainly true for Americans as we welcome Indian students, Indian business people, and Indian partners from overseas. This is a chance for us to learn from each other and share with each other. Well, I think what you see now in the U.S.-India relationship, in terms of our business connections, in terms of students, in terms of all the initiatives that we've already discussed a little bit, is that these are about more than bringing our two countries together politically. They are about strengthening us economically, and that includes creating jobs, both in the U.S. and in India. As we move into these next generation technologies, as our economies continue to evolve together, as Indian undergraduate and graduate students come back to India from the U.S. after their experience overseas, they are coming back to an environment that is dynamic, that is growing, that is driven by U.S.-India cooperation, and they're coming into jobs that are present now and the kind of jobs that will be created by the way our economies are evolving. So I think the economic future for job creation, for innovation, and for new opportunities for Indians at every level is very bright. So I think the popularity of cricket has already really taken off. It's really growing, right? And what a lot of people don't know is that the first international cricket match in the world was actually played in New York City in 1844. So our relationship with cricket is a long one and an affectionate one that goes back many years. So I think you see interest and enthusiasm for cricket growing. I think the T20 is a good example of how awareness and support for cricket is expanding. And we're quite excited that in Los Angeles in 2028 for the Olympics, cricket will be one of the sports featured. So I know our ambassador, Eric Garcetti, is a cricket fan, a rabid cricket fan, talks about cricket a lot. He was mayor of Los Angeles before coming here to be ambassador. And so I think that has a special personal place in his heart. And all of us are very excited to see cricket getting the attention it deserves. I mean, I think you see contributions of Indians in the United States at every level. Our Vice President, Kamala Harris, is of Indian heritage, Tamil heritage, in fact. Traces right back to Tamil Nadu, exactly. We've got the heads of major U.S. companies, Fortune 500 companies, Microsoft, Google, Deloitte. You're saying the names along with me, so you know these names. These leaders are famous for their contributions, famous for the companies they lead, famous for the way that they've driven global growth and innovation. So you see it at every level. And I'll tell you that aside from the names that everybody knows, when we work with U.S. colleges and universities, when we work with U.S. business, I talk to chambers of commerce all the time, here in Tamil Nadu, in Karnataka, in Kerala, and elsewhere within the Consulate District. And the connections you see at the business level with Indian members of the diaspora working in the U.S., the way they are connected to business here back home in India, the way that behind the scenes they are quietly ensuring that our relationship continues to grow, it's really remarkable. So you have the statistics, you have the names, you have the color pictures of the Indian Americans we all know that are doing amazing things, but there are so many others behind the scenes who are just as important to the future of the relationship. And I have just been really impressed by the depth and dedication of Indian Americans to improving things at every level. Well, I mean, that is if you'll allow me to be a little patriotic for a second, I mean, that's the American model. That's what we've based our society on. It's a place where you're defined not by your nationality or your religion or your ethnicity. You're defined by a common set of values and by the belief that those values will help to attract the best from every country in the world, and that united and inspired by those values of democracy, opportunity, and equality, all of the people who come to the U.S. will be inspired to contribute and to work and to innovate, to help both themselves, their communities, the U.S. and the world. And that model, and of course there are times when we have fallen short in that model, we are not perfect, but that powerful values-driven model has been the secret to U.S. success, and nowhere is that better exemplified and illustrated than in the contributions and the impact that the Indian American community has had.
Respecting humans as humans.
Respecting humans as humans, regardless of where they come from, what they do, what they believe, what they look like. The model is really about welcoming everyone as an American and supporting them as Americans. I mean, it's really true, and it's one of the reasons that I joined the government, because it's a message that I really believe in and that I see play out every day, and I'm quite proud to share it. So I think it's important for every country in the Indo-Pacific region to come together to create a space that is open and secure, rules-based, and a place that enables everyone to be prosperous and to move goods through the region and to enjoy all of the benefits that an open and secure Indo-Pacific region can provide. This is something that the Quad has been quite focused on, working to create this rules-based order in the Indo-Pacific region, but it's not limited just to the Quad. This is something where we work with partners in the Indo-Pacific region, but also around the world, to promote economic growth, to strengthen innovation, to secure supply chains and to enable the Indo-Pacific region to be a place where everyone can realize prosperity, security, and the full potential of their economies. So I think we're at a real moment right now in U.S.-India relations. Things are active at every level. We've seen multiple visits, state visits between Prime Minister Modi and President Biden, new agreements like the Initiative on Critical and Emerging Technology, and other new initiatives that really demonstrate the depth and the strength of our relationship. So I think there's an incredible amount of potential there for us to continue to work on health, on climate, on education, on security. And I think we do that from a base, as I said earlier, of shared interests and shared values. And we'll certainly continue to do that. India's economic growth has been remarkable over the last several years. The economic and business opportunities that are being created in India and the U.S. as a result of this relationship are also remarkable. And we're very fortunate to work with India so closely as a valued partner, but also have India standing beside us as we look ahead to the next phase of our relationship and of the global economy. And so I think as we celebrate all of our successes, this is a time to pause, acknowledge the moment we're having in this relationship, and use that momentum to really build a legacy that will remain in terms of how we develop our economies, how we build partnerships, and how we do things that don't just benefit Delhi and Washington, but affect positively every person in both India and the United States. So I think all of the economies in the world really struggled coming out of the pandemic. This was something that took years to really recover from for all of us. At the same time, and as a result of the pandemic, at least partially, you see inflation as a stressor on the global economy as well as individual economies, including ours. I think the U.S. has been pleased to maintain macroeconomic indicators that have been quite good, quite strong, including low unemployment, strong growth rates, as well as robust consumer spending. And so, as we build from that solid foundation, I think we'll continue to work with all of our partners around the world to face the challenges that lie ahead. I think that's very positive, and it shows that the U.S. remains a welcoming place, that the diaspora remains a strong piece of our relationship, and that Indians continue to contribute in sustainable and lasting ways to the U.S.-India relationship and to the United States. So that's something that as we welcome new citizens into the U.S., we celebrate that, whether they come from India or any other country around the world. That kind of news is always positive.
I guess Mexicans are the number one in that list.
We attract a large number from Mexico and from other countries, and as they come into the country and become citizens, they become Americans. And so we celebrate every new American that we can add to our population. I think Indians are contributing in every field. Honestly, you really see it, whether it's medicine or law or humanities or business or engineering or applied sciences or basic sciences. You see Indian Americans right there. And so what we're really focusing on, and what I think is quite exciting, is the chance to harness all of that talent to drive research, to drive new commercial research, academic research, and new solutions in next generation technology. So that's far greater than just IT. These are things that connect to the business community, that connect to universities, that connect to small companies, medium companies, big Fortune 500 firms. And this is where Indians will play really a leading role. So again, when you look at the business landscape in the U.S., Indian Americans are exerting a huge amount of positive influence in every sector. And as I walk around to these student fairs, part of what we've been doing with this delegation is hosting big events where interested students, Indian students, can come learn more about these universities. And I talk to people, and sometimes people will say, yeah, I want to study computer science, or I want to be a mechanical engineer. Yeah, all those things, right? But I also get people who say, I want to study film. I want to be a gender studies major. I want to study architecture. I want to look at all of these fields that, don't just come from what they feel like they should do or what they've been told to do, but deeply reflect kind of the individual ambitions and aspirations of these students. And these are the students I'm particularly excited about because, you know, engineering and science has been an invaluable foundation for the relationship, but Indians are also contributing and can contribute in the arts, in humanity, in these social issue areas that are also so important as we continue to deepen our understanding of one another and our cooperation. Research and development is really at the core of everything that we're doing within this relationship. And so what R&D and agriculture can do is produce new solutions that will lower the cost of food, lower the cost of inputs, extend the supply of agricultural products to the population. R&D in engineering fields will help to provide new solutions that don't just help to solve problems, but can be taken to market, can be commercialized, and can create profits and growth and new opportunities within business, both in India and the U.S. And what research really looks like, and you see this in the U.S. model, is not just a university and a lab by itself pursuing a project. It's not just a startup by itself pursuing an idea. It's bringing universities together, startups together, investors from the outside, big companies, small companies, all coming together to pool their assets, to share ideas, to share innovations, and then building an ecosystem, both in India and the U.S., where you can take your idea to market, you can find funding for it, the regulations and the standards are transparent and understandable, and your intellectual property will be protected. This is really critical as we pursue research and development as a driver for the larger relationship.
Thank you.
Thank you.